Hi, I am Sonam Chawla, and today I have with me Ms. Mathangi Sri Ramachandran, the co-founder and CEO of Uverse, and we are at AI Impact Summit 2026 here. And thank you for joining economictimes.com.
Future starts here.
Innovation is happening here.
AI is empowering us.
Let's start with the conversation behind the Uverse. You've said voice is a revolution and that conversational commerce is becoming mainstream commerce today. So Uverse is deploying voice AI for everything from collections to even vending machines troubleshooting. When did you realize that voice wasn't just a support feature and way beyond that, rather a fundamental infrastructure to the business operations?
Yeah, so Uverse is lot more than voice. Uverse is a last mile AI company where we work with enterprises on their specific problems, which can be solved by AI. We have capabilities across voice, video, vision, text, and risk scoring models also. Start out with banks, but now we are expanding to non-banking business. Now, coming to specific question, I'm very passionate about conversational commerce. I think India as a market has not been a very text market. It has been a very spoken market. Even if you look at WhatsApp usage, for example, people record messages, people don't type messages. And a lot of times business communication happens in English. So the commerce does not reach the diaspora of India. So I think conversational commerce, when we mean it is for the masses, it is for their language localized to their sensitivity. I think that's going to see a bigger boom at this point in time for a few reasons. Starting out with call centers and kind of streamlining the conversations there where the bots are going to take up, but also where conversations are not had. Those are avenues that things are going to open up. Be it healthcare, be it in banking. Today, we do business with microfinance institutions where people don't understand credit, people don't understand the fact that what happens if they don't pay back or they have paid to some collector who came to their home without knowing the consequences. But the conversation reaching there, which is controlled, which is well guardrailed, which is correct, which understands nuances, is a big thing to that microfinance industry itself. Likewise, it is changing different industries. So I keep saying AI kind of impacts two sectors of people definitely. One, people who are starved of economics and money, and the other who are starved of time. So it kind of impacts both of them equally. I think great to be part of this journey.
Absolutely, so well said. So you've been building AI products at scale, PhonePe, Gojek, now UB. So for 20 years you've been doing that. So industry data shows 70% of AI projects still fail. So what's that difference between enterprises that successfully deploy AI versus those who are stuck in the pilot poetry?
Sure, absolutely. I think it's a point to be spoken. That's why we call ourselves a last mile AI. Because technology is not something to be built in an ivory tower and then, thrown to masses for them to adopt.
Absolutely.
It is something that you actually work on the problem. So if we are building a conversational bot, we are at the call centers working with the agents to understand the lingo, understand the nuances, to make sure the experience is delivered right to the end customer, right? So it's very important on how you craft AI journeys, or let's say document processing. Let's say a bank is kind of automating an entire field journey of their customers. Then how does that underwriter work? How do they kind of look at the data? How do they look at images? That's how we adopt the AI journeys towards. For us, AI is a workflow, it's a journey where it embraces the humans in the process and produces an outcome which actually makes sense.
Okay. So let's take our conversation to the UX. U access. The U access is your processing documents, 15 plus languages. So reducing the turnaround, as you said, that reduces the turnaround of around 80% for banks and fundamental and financial institutions, right? So India generates massive documents, correct? So whether it involves loan applications and KYC and compliance. So how do you handle the messy reality of this Indian documents versus the clean, data sets that AI works around?
Whether it is voice or vision or structured data, in India we are dealing with very realistic problems. These are realistic documents. This could be a property document, it can be a ration card, it can be a patta somewhere, it can be anything. But we have built a capability which has multiple folds of both OCR and LLMs, which can extract what is there in the documents. But we don't stop there, because if I stop there, it would become the ivory tower technology problem. What we do is we make sure that the workflow, somebody is comparing 4 documents and saying this is correct, right? We are trying to solve that problem. How are they comparing? How are they matching? How is, after this, what should be done? What is the level of verification that it should get into? When you reject something, what is the impact of it, right? So we craft that entire journey. And that's where again the last mile comes in.
The whole, the reality makes a mixture where the AI can be trained for.
Correct.
So you talk about building an intelligent core for enterprises, not just automation, but intelligent-led decision-making embedded across organizations. How does that look like? What does that look like when a bank or regular, implementation happens? And what changes everything?
So, see, there are 2 types of decision making where AI is powering today. One is decision assist systems. Another is AI is directly making a decision. AI is directly making a decision is what we talked in conversations, right? So, you are talking to a bot. The bot cannot go and ask a human to approve that sentence and then it talks, right? It has to talk. That is, AI is making a decision at that point in time, of course, subject to human guardrails. But then there are decision assist systems where, let's say, a large loan has to be approved, right? Which is, multi-crore loan. And you have every information possible, AI has crunched it, etc. But you still want a human to look at it, vet it, say this report is good and then sign off on that, right? So that's assisted decision systems. Today, AI plays a major role in the first one where there are low risk items like a conversation, like what you're going to talk, as long as it's guardrail, it's able to make a decision on its own. The second one is what is going to now become a very important one, which are AI for decision assist systems. Large scale decision, high stake decision, you want somebody to put behind the bar kind of a decision. Whether it is in legal, whether it is healthcare, whether it is banking, those are the systems we are building. Again, in those, last mile becomes an important part of it, because in decision driven systems, adoption is at least a tailwind. In decision assist systems, the human who has to now listen to an AI, they always have a problem that their job might be replaced, right? So the person who has to sign off is the person, whose job could be replaced is what the person thinks. So hence, it requires a lot of nuances. It requires a lot of cultural and empathy kind of thinking. Work with those people to make sure their life is better and their life is not threatened. That's how you operate only.
How that is a major concern which you have just shared. Yeah. And if we are dealing with that as well, I think nothing like it.
Correct.
Yeah. So with 100% cadence and recognition as a top AI leader, you've seen AI evolution firsthand. So as yours deploys across regulated industries like banking, collections, compliance, as you mentioned, what's the hardest part of keeping AI responsible, compliant, and multilingual at production scale? A bit of it you shared, but let's
see. I'll divide this in 2 parts. One is keeping AI in production. That's a challenge in itself, exactly for the point you mentioned, right? India is about a lot of messy data and a lot of real data, like on the ground data. And when we are trying to take AI to literally the last mile in villages of India where barely only internet exists, even electricity is questionable kind of scenario, it is very important that the models are operate at scale. So we operate in millions of conversations, billions of pages, etc. So we understand the nuances of scale. So for us, AI is not a demo alone, but it is actually something that makes a difference, right? So that's on the production scale thing. How real are we to our demos is what we are building.
India cannot be, written by anybody when it comes to use cases.
Correct. So for example, right, let's say a bot is having a conversation in the Western world. Everything is super silent. Even if you're taking it in your car while you are, on the highway, nobody is honking. But in India, everyone is honking. So if there is a barge enabled in the bot, it stops every now and then. So you need to craft these at scale for different kind of people, right? So that's one. The other side of it, which is on AI governance, MeitY has launched, 11 pillars of what AI should be, how the governance should be. Some of this we are adopting from the GDPR. Some of them from the EU AI Act. India per se has not yet given an act, but then there are guidances and guardrails which we largely follow. But at the core of it, Sonam, everything is about how empathetic you build systems, right? Machines can be built to show empathy. Through machines, we are driving empathy at scale, right? So, and if that is there, a lot of your process, a lot of your ethics, a lot of your behavior are guided right.
So it's all about the builders, I would say.
Yeah, it's all about your, if you have the,
who are responsible
Correct.
the core
Correct.
to bring the thing.
But then you cannot have scale without showing responsibility and empathy, right? So if a lot of enterprise are trusting you, at some level you have been responsible.
Yes.
At some level the word of mouth have spread. At some level people have referred you that this has worked, and hence it is a proof in itself. So somewhere market factors come into picture, but at the crux of ethics is empathy, right? And that whatever regulation rules cannot be there, and that's human.
Absolutely, Matangi. I think I'm so glad to have a conversation on this level where things are still getting written. No, this AI summit is all about where things are getting written. But much before that, you've actually implemented, as you said, empathizing, understanding the responsibilities, and the co-founders and founders like you are making things happen with full concentration on how things should be emotionally, empathetically, and ethically be working. Thank you so much for your time, and I think it was a pleasure having you in this conversation. Thanks, Swati.
Thank you.